Welcome to the AI Hub, a podcast for AI-driven side hustles designed for IT professionals like you.
From cutting-edge AI tools to practical, no-nonsense tips, each episode brings you closer to turning tech into income.
Tune in to discover smart and sustainable ways to boost your career and income with AI.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to AI Hub, the show where we like to take these deep dives into the AI world. I'm Larry.
And I'm Amanda. I'll be helping to guide us through all the twists and turns.
And today we are talking about something I did not see coming at all. Meta.
Yeah.
The company behind Facebook and Instagram, they're getting into humanoid robots.
It's true. It is a very interesting change of direction, isn't it? Going from protecting us online to maybe building robots that will be walking among us.
Yeah, it's like they're going from the metaverse to like the actual universe. So we read about this in a TechCrunch article, and even they seemed kind of surprised by it.
Yeah.
Meta's creating a whole new team, part of their Reality Labs hardware division. And their goal is to build robots that can actually lend a hand.
And not just your run-of-the-mill robot vacuum, bumping around your house. We're talking about robots designed to look like us, to be able to do all sorts of tasks, maybe helping out around the house or even working in dangerous or really complicated places.
Yeah, and here's what I thought was really interesting. Meta isn't saying they're going to make a Meta-branded robot right away. Instead, they want to do something kind of like what Google did with Android and smartphones. Do you remember how chaotic the smartphone world was before Android?
Oh, yeah. Every phone had its own operating system, its own way of doing things. It was a total mess.
Right. And then Google came along with Android, and it was this open source operating system. And all of a sudden, there was a common language for smart folks.
Exactly.
So that's what Meta wants to do for robotics. They want to build the foundation, the core technologies, maybe even the operating system that all these other companies could then use to make their own robots. They basically want to be the backbone of this whole robot ecosystem.
Wow, that is ambitious. It makes you wonder, though, could Meta actually become as big in robotics as Google is with smartphones? What does it mean for companies like Google and Amazon that are already putting so much money into robotics?
It's going to be very interesting to see how this all plays out. Now, the TechCrunch article mentioned a couple of companies that Meta is already talking to. There's Unitree Robotics, which makes these really agile, almost animal-like robots. And then you've got Figure AI. They're focused on making more general-purpose humanoid robots.
I think whoever Meta partners with will really tell us what kind of robots they're picturing. But going back to that Android comparison, would Meta's success depend on other companies actually using their platform?
Yeah, that's the question, isn't it? For those companies, there are some obvious advantages.
Yeah.
They could get access to cutting-edge tech without having to start from scratch. And they'd have a market ready to go for the robots they make.
But then you have to think about the downsides, too. If they rely on Meta's platform, those companies could become totally dependent on Meta. And while Meta doesn't exactly have a perfect record when it comes to things like data privacy.
You're not wrong. That's a great point. It's almost like a gamble for those companies. Big potential rewards, but also some real risks. It'll be interesting to see who decides to work with Meta and how it all shakes out.
Yeah, it's a pretty big gamble when you think about how hard it is to even build a robotics platform. I mean, this isn't like making an app. We're talking robots that have to see where they are, make decisions really quickly, and not run into things or people.
Yeah. It really blows my mind when you think about it.
Yeah.
All that data they got to process, making choices in a split second, and then actually moving around in the real world without, knocking things over or, God forbid, running into a person.
Right. And to do all of that, you need some pretty serious hardware and software. I'm talking advanced AI algorithms, sensor systems that are almost as good as human senses, and then figuring out how to make them move smoothly and precisely.
So it's not just about writing code. It's like you're building this crazy complicated system that has to work perfectly, even when things are unpredictable.
Yeah, that's a huge challenge, even for a company like Meta with all their money and resources. Oh, for sure. And then on top of all that, you have to think about how to make it adaptable, because Meta's not going to build every single type of robot. They want a system that can work for a whole bunch of different robots with different jobs.
So you're saying a universal robot brain, something that could run everything from a robot chef to a robot construction worker.
Yeah, exactly. It's a wild idea, right? Meta CTO Andrew Bosworth, he seems to think they can do it. He sees it as this huge chance to create the basic hardware for the whole robotics industry.
Okay, so let's say Meta does pull this off. They build this robotics platform and get other companies to use it. What kind of robots could we actually see out there in the next few years?
Well, if you look at the companies Meta's talking to, it sounds like we could see a pretty wide range of them. You've got Unitree Robotics making those super agile, almost animal-like robots. Imagine those being used for search and rescue after like a natural disaster or exploring places that are too dangerous for people.
Oh, wow. That's incredible. And then there's Figure AI making more like general-purpose human-shaped robots.
Exactly. Those could be used for so many things, like maybe helping out in hospitals or factories or even doing dangerous jobs like getting rid of bombs.
Whoa. It sounds like we're on the edge of a real robot revolution, with Meta maybe leading the charge. But here's the thing that's been on my mind. What does all of this mean for the average person? How will these robots actually change our lives?
That's the big question, right? It's easy to get caught up in all the tech and the possibilities. But in the end, it's about how these robots fit into our world.
Will they make life easier, more efficient, maybe even more fun? Or will they create new problems and totally disrupt industries? I guess we'll have to wait and see.
Well, I think it's important to remember that technology is really just a tool. It's how we decide to use it that determines its impact.
That's a really good point. We need to be smart about it. Think about the potential downsides as well as the good stuff, and make sure we're using robots in a way that benefits everybody.
Exactly. And that means talking openly and honestly about the ethics, what it means for jobs and what kind of future we want to create with robots in it.
Okay, so we've covered the potential and some of the challenges. Now I'm curious, if Meta's vision actually happens, what would you personally want a humanoid robot to be able to do?
Ooh, that's a tough one. There are so many possibilities. But if I had to choose, I think I'd go with a robot that could do all those annoying chores around the house. Like laundry dishes, maybe even folding my clothes.
Yeah, count me in on that one. I would love to never have to do laundry again. How about you? What's your dream robot?
Well, you know me, I'm all about getting things done quickly and efficiently. So I think I'd go for robot assistant, something that could manage my schedule, keep my emails organized, maybe even handle some work tasks. That way I'd have more free time to do the stuff I actually enjoy.
Yeah, it's funny, huh? How we both want robots so we can have more free time.
Well, I guess it makes sense though, right? We're all so busy all the time. Maybe that's part of why robots seem so appealing. They can take care of all the things we don't want to do and give us back some of those hours in the day.
I think you're right. But it's not just about convenience either. Think about people who have trouble getting around or doing certain things. Robots could help them be more independent. Do things they might struggle with, and even just keep them company.
That's a great point. And it's not just individuals either. Robots could help us deal with some of the big problems facing the world.
Like what?
Well, think about climate change, for example. Robots could be used to clean up pollution, plant trees, maybe even help us build things in a way that's better for the environment. And they could help us keep track of what's happening with the climate so we can be ready if there are natural disasters.
Now you're making me think even bigger. It's like robots could become our partners in building a better future. But I gotta ask, what about jobs? That's something a lot of people are worried about. What happens when robots can do the jobs that people do now?
That's a really important question, and something we need to be talking about seriously. But I don't think it's as simple as robots just taking over all the jobs. When you look at history, new technologies have always changed the way we work.
Yeah, like the printing press or the assembly line. Those things didn't get rid of all the jobs, they just changed things.
Exactly. And I think that'll happen with robots too. Some jobs might go away, but new jobs will pop up. Like designing and fixing robots and writing the programs that make them work. It's about adapting and making sure people have the skills they need for those new jobs.
So we shouldn't be scared of robots.
Yeah.
We should be thinking about how to use them to make a better future for everyone. One where there's more opportunity and people have more choices about what they do.
That's it. It's about seeing robots as a way to make work more meaningful, give people more freedom to follow their passions, and even help us solve some of the world's biggest problems.
That's a future I can get behind. After all this, I'm feeling way more optimistic about robots than I was before. Meta getting into robotics with this whole idea of building a system everyone can use that's a game changer. Who knows what we'll see in the next few years?
It's definitely an exciting time, and it'll be amazing to see how it all plays out.
Well said, Amanda. Well, that's another episode of AI Hub, where we explore the crazy world of AI.
Thanks for coming along for the ride, folks. It's been fun.
And if you enjoyed our deep dive today, be sure to subscribe to AI Hub so you don't miss any future episodes. We'll be back soon with more stories and insights from the world of AI. Until then, keep those robot dreams alive.
Welcome to the AI Hub, a podcast for AI-driven side hustles designed for IT professionals like you.
From cutting-edge AI tools to practical, no-nonsense tips, each episode brings you closer to turning tech into income.
Tune in to discover smart and sustainable ways to boost your career and income with AI.